Hi guys, today you are going to follow along as I read Brave Chicken. As I read, I want you to pay close attention to how you think Izzy, the main character, changes throughout the story. When you're finished listening, you will open the assignment and fill out the graphic organizer how you think Izzy changes over time. So first I'm going to enlarge this so you can follow along. Okay. It says, Izzy sat across the kitchen table from her friend Victor and stared at two large chicken costumes. She nervously nibbled on her fingernail. Don't be a chicken, Victor said. It's only a costume. Besides, it's probably our last year to go trick-or-treating. Let's go big or go home. Victor, Izzy sighed. I'm not dressing as a giant chicken for Halloween. Everyone will stare at us. Bawk, bawk, bawk. Victor put his hands in his armpits and flapped. Izzy bit her lower lip. She wished she were brave like Victor. Last week, when kids at their lunch table started flinging tater tots at each other, Izzy didn't say anything, even though she knew the nice lunchroom monitor would have to deal with the mess. But Victor had yelled at everyone to cut it out and clean up. And they did. Victor was the opposite of a chicken. For once in your life, be brave. Victor held a chicken costume out to her. Sorry, she muttered. Izzy was planning to wear the same costume she had worn the past two Halloweens, an old-fashioned reporter's hat and notebook. No one ever guessed Lizzie was dressed as Nellie Bly, a famous newspaper writer from the 1800s. As a young reporter, Nellie was also known for being fearless. She pretended to be mentally ill to report on terrible conditions in an asylum. She got herself arrested in order to investigate a prison. She even traveled around the entire world by herself, writing a book about her adventures. Izzy was nervous just to go trick-or-treating around her own neighborhood. As usual, Victor was right. On Halloween, everyone loved his chicken costume. They smiled and laughed as he approached on large orange feet and waggled his wings. Those same people had no idea who Izzy was supposed to be. Later, when they dumped their candy onto the carpet in Izzy's living room, Victor had way more full-size candy bars. Izzy jealously eyed the giant Snickers, but wasn't brave enough to ask for it. Nellie Bly definitely would have asked for it, or she would have just grabbed it and taken it a big chocolatey bite. I've got to learn to be brave, Izzy told herself, so I can become a reporter someday like Nellie Bly. The next morning, Izzy read the newspaper with her dad, like always. Did you see this? He asked. It's an article about the new law letting people raise chickens in their backyards. The city council is voting on it at a special meeting this Saturday. Some people really don't want the law to pass. Why not? Izzy asked. Having chickens in your backyard would be great. You could get eggs whenever you want. They think the chickens will make a lot of noises and spread diseases. Izzy's dad handed her the newspaper. Here, read it. Something stirred inside Izzy as she read. Who wouldn't want chickens to roam free in nice people's yards? After school, Izzy went online to do more research. She learned that chickens need space and fresh air to thrive, that cooped up in small cages, they can't grow properly. Izzy thought back to the chickens she had seen in her neighborhood's fall fair last month. Squeezed wing to wing in cramped coops, they barely had enough space to turn around. Izzy wanted to set them all free, but she never would have dared to do something like that. As Izzy researched, an email popped up on her screen. It was from her school's Friends of Animals Club. Join the march at Town Hall to support the law allowing backyard chickens, the email read. Thinking about joining a public march made Izzy's stomach hurt, but at least she'd be doing something to help the chickens. At dinner that night, Izzy said, Dad, some kids from the Friends of the Animals, Dad, some kids from the Friends of Animals Club at Zoo are marching on Saturday to support the chicken law. Her voice quavered. I want to go with them. Izzy's dad chewed thoughtfully. Honey, I'm proud of you for wanting to help the chickens, he said, but I'm not sure about this. What if marchers from the other side show up and cause trouble? Izzy hadn't thought of that. Her heart pounded. What if it gets out of hand and police come? Izzy had been secretly hoping her dad wouldn't let her go, but now she thought again of the chickens crammed into tight cages at the fall festival. She imagined how much happier they would be wandering through the sunny backyard, the wind tickling their feathers. That would never happen if the law didn't pass on Saturday. Dad, please, she said. Chickens can't speak up for themselves. Someone has to do it. Izzy's dad smiled. You can go if you promise to stick with the other kids from your school and see if Victor will go with you. Izzy swallowed past the tightness in her throat. Great, she said weakly. Later, Victor was excited about joining the march. We can wear the costumes from Halloween. That way, people driving by will notice us and pay more attention to what we have to say. Izzy didn't want people to pay more attention to her, but she reminded herself it was for the chickens. Okay, she agreed, putting the finishing touches on the sign she was making. It read, Chickens need open space and fresh air. Victor said, Stand up for our chickens. Vote yes on the law. As the day of the march came closer, Izzy felt more and more shaky. What if a fight broke out and the people who didn't want the law to pass? What if the police were called? What if she went to jail? Izzy wanted to talk to Victor at school on Friday. She knew he'd make her feel better. But he wasn't there. On Saturday morning, Izzy was too worried to eat much breakfast. Could she really stand in front of town hall wearing a chicken costume and holding a sign that some people wouldn't like? The doorbell rang, making her jump. Must be Victor. I'll get it. Victor's nose was bright red. He sneezed 4 times in a row. He was holding only one chicken costume and a tissue. Where's the other costume, Izzy asked. I'm sick, Victor coughed. Too sick to go. But Victor, you can't be sick. Not today. Victor shrugged. Sorry, he handed Izzy the costume. I'm going back to bed. Achoo. Izzy clutched the costume to her chest. I can't do this alone, she thought. Sure you still want to go? Her dad asked from behind her. Izzy wasn't sure at all, but she grabbed her sign and headed out toward the car. As they pulled into the parking lot near Town Hall, Izzy's stomach hurt. She saw a crowd of people in front of the building, yelling and holding signs. Some of the signs had a red slash over a chicken and the words, Not in our neighborhood. You definitely want to go out there? Izzy Dad asked. No, she wanted to scream. I can take you back home. Izzy thought again of Nellie Bly. She wondered if Nellie would wear a chicken costume. Izzy decided she would, for a good cause. She opened the car door and put the rubbery chicken foot on the ground, and then the other. Nellie Bly must have been scared to do things she did, Izzy realized, but she did them anyway. Hey, who's the chicken? One of the kids from the Friends of Animals Club yelled. I'm no chicken, Izzy thought. It's me, Izzy. She walked toward the group. I'll pick you up at lunch, her dad called. Text if you need anything before then. Izzy waved a wing at him. She joined the others as they marched back and forth in front of Town Hall, holding up their signs and yelling, Vote yes on the law. Don't be a chicken. Other people nearby yelled, Vote no on the law. Lizzie trembled, but she kept marching, and as she walked and shouted, she stood a little taller in her chicken costume. Some people drove by and honked. Others gave her a thumbs up. Izzy kept marching and yelling till her throat was sore. The news van pulled up and a reporter walked toward Izzy. Can I ask you a few questions, she asked. Izzy nodded her chicken head. What's your name and why are you here? My name's Izzy. I'm here to stand up for the chickens. They deserve fresh air and plenty of room to roam. Then Izzy swallowed hard and pulled her chicken self straight up straight. You know, I'm going to be a reporter like you someday. And like Nellie Bly, she said to herself. Hey, the reporter said, would you like to write a short article about the march from a young marcher's perspective? Before Izzy could think, the word yes popped out of her mouth. The next morning, Izzy walked over to Victor's house to return the chicken costume and bring him a container of homemade soup. I hope you feel better soon, Victor, she said. But Victor seemed to have completely forgotten about his cold. I saw your article in the newspaper today, he said excitedly, and the council's yes vote. I bet the march had a big effect on that vote. Izzy smiled and nodded. You did it, Victor said. You were a brave chicken. Achoo! Now I want you to open your assignment and complete the page about how do you think Izzy changed throughout the story.